the year 2025. The plan is driven by a special ministerial task force on food production and food security and the CARICOM private sector organization supported by the CARICOM Secretariat. The plan involves the removal of trade barriers, production of special crops of economic importance to the region, insurance and financing solutions, development of agro-industries, the digitization of agriculture, adaptation to climate change, and improving air and sea transportation and logistics. CARICOM countries champion the 25 by 2025 plan. Countries are actively producing, legislating, and trading to ensure the 25 by 2025 plan is achieved. Vision 25 by 2025. Join us. You can help preserving our community one sector at a time. Hear ye, hear ye. It's 25 by 2025 time. The 25% by 2025 initiative is the region's plan to reduce the food import bill by 25% by the year 2025. The plan is driven by a special ministerial task force on food production and food security and the CARICOM private sector organization supported by the CARICOM Secretariat. The plan involves the removal of trade barriers, production of special crops of economic importance to the region, insurance and financing solutions, development of agro-industries, the digitization of agriculture, adaptation to climate change, and improving air and sea transportation and logistics. CARICOM countries champion the 25 by 2025 plan. Countries are actively producing, legislating, and trading to ensure the 25 by 2025 plan is achieved. Vision 25 by 2025. Join us. You can help preserving our community one sector at a time.
Hi, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Food for Lunch Conversations on 25% by 2025, hosted by the CARICOM Secretariat. And today, for our webinar, we will be discussing the topic, the business of agriculture, making money from agriculture. My name is Anisha Beach, and I am the program coordinator for the Youth Agricultural Homestead Program from Trinidad and Tobago, and I will be your moderator for this afternoon. And with us, we have some young entrepreneurs of agriculture with us, and they are Mr. Sebastian Otway of Farmlands Guyana, Corinne Antoine of Helen's Daughters and Hotel Chocolat Apprenticeship Farm, and Melvin Requino of 501R. So good afternoon to you three, and good afternoon to everyone who has joined us, or if you are from any part of the world, we hope you're having an excellent day. So we would like to begin this very exciting discussion and this webinar by engaging our three agri-entrepreneurs with us today. And I would like to get some background information, first of all, from you all. Let me get some info. You can share with us how you began your enterprise, what would have motivated you to get into agri-entrepreneurship, and give us an idea of which part of the region you are from, and then we will get into it. So we'll begin with Sebastian Otway.
Hi, how are you? It's a pleasure. Let me just start my video there. Can you see me and hear me correctly?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So I am originally from Jamaica, but we operate within Guyana. And I mean, some of what motivated us originally was the government of Guyana pushing to further diversify into agriculture following the discovery of oil and gas. I mean, agriculture has always been one of the main traditional industries of development and sustainability, especially in some of our more rural regions. But the food security 25 by 2025 was one of the main driving forces, especially considering the Guyanese president's involvement. And we feel that by investing in agriculture, we aim not only on reducing dependency on food imports, but also creating employment opportunities, promoting sustainable farming practices, ensuring the resilience and self-sufficiency of our food supply within the Caribbean community. So these are lots of things that we feel are very important, especially because Guyana is one of the few CARICOM countries that isn't an island. And it's as big as it is, and with fertile soil, we see the importance in preserving, but also in innovating and creating more.
Okay, great. So you would have looked at, I know you would have mentioned youth unemployment. So that is an area that you all are particularly passionate about as well.
Yes. So we feel it's very important, not only in terms of employment, but also in terms of development. So a lot of the rural areas within Guyana are targeted for this agriculture development. And as a result, it's investment in local communities, investment in education, investment in technology, and it's helping the development of, from an agriculture perspective, the let out development in many other areas that can then have its multiplicative effects in other sectors as well. So we view, from farmland's perspective, but also from the government perspective in Guyana, that it's kind of a rolling steam kind of effect, or that's what we're looking for anyway, that we invest in agriculture and then it's a local investment that also sees its fruit elsewhere in the economy, in the local economy.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Sebastian. And Karen of Helen's Daughters and Hotel Chocolat Apprenticeship Farm. Can you give us some background as to your venture and where you are from, and basically what motivated you to pursue your current business? Karen? Okay, it seems as though we may have lost her. And Melvin of 501R, are you here with us?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi, Melvin.
My name is Melvin Rakena. I'm from Belize and representing 501R Honey. We're a family-based business in the Toledo district, one of the 6 districts within Belize. And what motivated us to pursue the venture of beekeeping is the conservation aspects that we have. And beekeeping allows us to protect standing forests, and as well the economic benefits that it could bring to the community where I'm from. The opportunities of creating employment for the younger generation within the area that I'm from.
Okay, great. So we're seeing a common thread. We're looking at conservation, we're looking at youth development, and employment, and these are areas. Yes, and I believe that I am assuming that much like Trinidad and Tobago, the youth, we look at a gap of 18 to 35, basically.
Exactly. So it's like within my area, I probably would be the only youth that's actually pursuing a business within the beekeeping industry. So as one of the leaders in this venture, I feel like we have been doing an excellent job. We have actually, for the past 5 years, we've been in operation, and during that 5 years, we have noticed that we have tend to gain that traction of the interest of the youth, pursuing the venture now.
Yes, great. So you all are motivating other young people.
Exactly.
Because one of the major issues that we have within the region is this aging farming population and aging agriculture population. So it's excellent to see so many young people that are getting involved and motivating other young people to get involved in agriculture. It is. So I see that we have Karen back with us. Karen, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay, because on my camera. Yes. So for me, I live in St. Lucia, and the main thing that attracted me to the agricultural field was mainly my grandparents, my great grandparents. Back in the day, I understood that bananas were the green gold at the time, and a lot of our grandparents and great grandparents used that tool to send their children and their children's children to school. And unfortunately, they did not want their children to come back to the agricultural sector. So
Yes.
I kind of want to break that cycle. And also, like Melvin previously stated, I want to show young persons my age, 22 years of age. I want to show young persons, especially young women, how important agriculture is. And considering that food import bills are so high in St. Lucia, and the Caribbean in general. I just wanted to work with Helen's Daughters as well because they do showcase a lot of trainings. They do a lot of programs that do educate persons about these things. Um, another reason, sorry, why I wanted to be a part of the sector is just to also know where my food came from and to contribute to the overall sustainability of the sector.
Thank you so much, Karen. And again, our parents or grandparents, they worked and they toiled and they really wanted to, I guess, in a way, break the cycle of that hard work. So they sent us to school, a lot of us to school, and they tried to keep us away from the fields. But we realized in the region that that is a problem. We have to get back to the production of foods. And so I'm so happy that so many young people now are taking up that mantle and we are learning where our food is coming from. We need to focus on nutritious elements and try to break the cycle of unhealthy imported foods that we are consuming in the Caribbean region. And so I know a common thread right now, we're trying to get a lot of young people on board in agriculture. And we're telling them that there's a lot of money to be made in agriculture. However, we also have to paint a realistic picture for them and that we have to let them know that there's a lot of money that must be spent as well at times especially when you're starting up. So this is a question that I'll ask each one of you. What is your most costly line item in your business? I'll start with Sebastian. And how have you tried to minimize the cost of this line item?
Okay, so well, I mean, we have lots of items that we've been investing in as a result of the kind of startup process that we're going through.
Yes.
In terms of minimizing costs, we've been looking to source the best products and equipment for the best price in terms of quality and reliability, mainly out of the US and Brazil, but we're trying to kind of manage quality, but also in a lot of these cases, buying new is it's kind of like buying a new car. It's, it loses valuability quite quickly. So we've been looking at how to manage that, buying good quality, but also not too old, and kind of managing that. Minimizing costs though isn't always straightforward in the beginning stages of agriculture. So we're looking at implementing feasible cost minimization strategies under a medium to long-term scope so as to more adeptly, equalize and minimize our capital expenditure, at least in the short term. So we have to, it's like many other businesses, you have to invest a lot in the short term to then see medium to long-term benefits, we feel. So that's kind of the way that we're trying to manage it ourselves. And we feel that, at least for us, but generally within the space in Guyana, it's how a lot of companies are operating in this space.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Melvin, is it the same for you? What is your most costly line item? And how have you tried to?
Okay, being a beekeeper, because we operate a beekeeping business, operation cost is very expensive. However, within the past 3 years, we have noticed a huge increase when it comes to the procurement of our equipment. These would be, the wax especially. So what we've done is that we've been importing from Mexico. However, with all the importation fees and all the prices going up every month, we've
Yes.
invested in various equipment. So now we're actually processing that raw wax that we need, and we're supplying it to our own colony. So we've been able to reduce the cost of production by, purchasing a wax press. So now we're being able to process our own and now actually supply within the country. So now we're supplying various districts with the wax that we've been producing.
Oh,
As
excellent.
well, another costly item that we've been seeing the price increases within our packaging area. We've noticed that we have an increase in when it comes to the cost of jars. So what we've done is that, through the Ministry of Agriculture within Belize, they have granted us, a permit to, expedite and the fees of these items, and we've been able to get it at a more reasonable cost. So we have that, that great collaboration within the Ministry of Agriculture to, support small farmers and small businesses.
That's great. And one thing we've noticed within the Caribbean region, the CARICOM region, a lot of the governments, there are a lot of grants available for agri-entrepreneurs and especially youth agri-entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of encouragement within that space.
Yes,
for
yes, exactly.
Excellent. And Karen, what is your most costly line item in your business?
Well, for me, considering that I am working as an apprentice full time with Helen Daughters and Project Circular,
Yes.
I would say my most costly line of item is not an item per se, but I would say time and labor. Since I'm just starting off with my agri business, but some other costly lines of items would be pesticides and fertilizers. But I've recently attended a 6 weeks workshop with my region six, which is from Chozel, Super, and whatnot. They have shown ways in which that we could produce our own fertilizers and pesticides. But for now, I would just say time and labor, since I would have to put in work after or before work. Labor, I would try to have family members. So for now, these are the two most costly for me.
Okay, great. So yes, involving your family members in your enterprise is also an excellent idea to minimize your costs at times. So great. And in the vein of painting a very realistic picture of agri-entrepreneurship, I'll ask this question now. What is the most complicated component of your agri-business? So Sebastian, to you.
I'd say the current most complex component of our agribusiness lies in navigating logistics and transportation, particularly in the transportation of goods to and from the farm, because I mean, it's quite rural. It's not as near to massively populated city centers. But despite some of these challenges, we are grateful. I mean, as you just mentioned, I mean, the government of Guyana has been a massive support. The continued collaboration we've received from the government in general and local authorities, notably in the improvement of infrastructure such as roads. I mean, clearly it underscores the commitment of theirs to fostering mutually beneficial solutions. And I know this is true in other CARICOM countries as well. And hopefully this is to, ensure streamlined operations and sustainable growth, not only for our business, but as I mentioned previously, the wider community as well in the investments in the region. I would say that is the main component that could be slightly complex, but luckily through the collaboration with the government, that's being smoothed out, as time goes by.
Okay, excellent. So again, I'm glad to hear that these complications, you're finding the solutions to them, and there are challenges more so than a major complication. And
Yes,
Mel,
exactly.
what is the most complicated component of your agribusiness?
The most complicated component of the business would be when it comes to harvesting. As the colleague mentioned earlier, moving the product from farm to market, or from the storage to the market area. That for us, that is one of the most complicated aspects, since our apiaries are within the buffer zones of the protected areas. So then we would have that long distance to cover. However, we have had improved infrastructure such as roads and all of those. So the challenges are being mitigated day by day.
Okay, excellent. And Karen?
Yes. So some of the challenges I would say, like the previous presenters, a lot of things are being mitigated by the government. So I believe that they are seeing the importance how much we really need to put work into the agricultural sector. But for me, I would say training and mentorship, and also expertise in setting up stuff like plumbing for the irrigation. So if we would have more persons getting training on how to set up the irrigation and the water storage to avoid water loss, considering that we're going through extended dry periods, and just overall training on production and how to store and how to add value to what you're producing.
Okay. Okay, great. So I would see then that more collaborative efforts between different organizations to present more training would be of greater benefits to your organization. And I'm guessing organizations like yours. Okay, great. So I saw that someone has their hands up. What we're going to do is engage with the panelists with some questions, and at the end of the session, we will allow you all to ask our amazing entrepreneurs here some questions so that they can engage with you directly. And we do encourage anyone who is on right now and would like to share their business interest or their area of expertise, you can share it in the chat so that everyone can connect with each other. This is a forum where we are opening up discussions, and the CARICOM region, we are one body. So we're trying to encourage everyone to get to know each other and build on this community of agri-entrepreneurship. So we're going to get into more details of your business, guys. I'm going to ask you a question that, may be a bit personal, so to say, when it comes to your business, but what is your average profit per year? Feel free to share based on how comfortable you are. So Sebastian.
Well, as we're still in the early stages of setting everything up, and everything in between to get it started and running, providing specific profit figures is challenging. I mean, we have forecasts and projections that we've had done for us, and they look promising, indicating that we expect to achieve profitability by our second year of operation. And that optimism is based on careful planning, market analysis, the implementation of effective strategies, such as what I mentioned before with cost minimization, all in the under the guise of sustainable growth and success, because that's one of the main things that we're focusing on. We want to target food security, but we also want to ensure sustainable growth and that we're here for the long term.
Okay, great. And that's an important message to all agri-entrepreneurs. You must focus on sustainability, and a forecast and a plan is very important for long-term and sustainable growth. So Melvin, on to you, the same question. What is your average profit as far as you can feel comfortable sharing per year?
Sure. Being a family operated business with probably three members running the entire business, for the year, our annual projections comes around close to around $25,000. And being factoring all the logistic costs and all of that stuff. So we would say around that. However, like the colleague said there, we've been in operation for 5 years. However, we have just been able to see that, that recovery from all of that investment, all the expenses. So we would have, we're in the line of around 25, USD.
Okay, excellent. And Karine. So is it Karine or Karen? I just want to get that correct.
Oh, yes, it's Korean.
Karine. So I had Karen here, for instance. Okay, Karine. To you,
Yes.
what is your average profit per year?
Well, for me, considering that I'm in the starting stages of developing my agri-business,
Yes.
I haven't really gone about calculating because last year into early this year, I sold coconut water and it was just like, for sale. But now that I'm being trained and getting more information about how to run an agri-business, I know how to record and budget and go based on what I've spent and how much I'm going to make. So these are the lessons that I've learned and things that I'm going to put in place as I go along. And of course, everything is a learning process. So hopefully, as I go along, I get more information in terms of how my business is going.
Okay, great. So, based on that question, do you all agree that there is money in agriculture, quote unquote money in agriculture? Sebastian?
Yes, absolutely, I would say. Agriculture presents significant economic opportunities, opportunities in general, I would say, but I mean, responding to the question specifically, economic opportunities, not only in terms of financial returns, but also in, fostering local and regional food security, as we've spoken about, and is very important to the region specifically, as well as promoting sustainable development, even to the end of preserving cultural heritage. So by investing in agriculture, we can create, thriving rural economies, as well as empowering local farmers, youth, employment, as well as ensuring a steady supply of food for our communities, both locally and regionally. As well as, agriculture serves as a cornerstone for environmental preserving and maintaining stewardship, almost, and it provides us sustainable land management practices as well. There are a lot of things that it provides us that aren't necessarily within the scope of finances, within the scope of earning money. But I would say that obviously for a lot of people that is the main facet that matters. And we do see nowadays, based on projections, well, as I mentioned previously, for us specifically, that within the first few years, for lots of people, depending on, outside factors as well, it's possible to make a profit, which might not have been the case 5-10 years ago. But as mentioned, with governmental assistance, with either grants or just general assistance in terms of paving the way from roads to transportation to logistics, it's a lot more feasible nowadays, we feel, for just general collective well-being being involved in agriculture.
Okay, great. And I like the term that you use, cornerstone, because agriculture does serve as a cornerstone, not only for economic development, as you mentioned, but social and environmental development. So that is an excellent perspective to have. And Melvin, on to you. Do you agree that there's money in agriculture?
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. And as the colleague mentioned previously, I mean, it serves as, other opportunities as well, especially on the topic that he touched, the conservation of heritage culture. I think within the region that I'm from, beekeeping has been a practice for many years. And, lately the knowledge has been slowly degrading into the background. So now what we've been doing is we've been able to set up research centers where we've been working with, all the native species, trying to, promote conservation as well. I mean, we have to, as well make money, however, as well to protect our surroundings and the conservation aspects as, stewards of the industry.
Okay, great. And Karine, based on your perspective, I know you're just starting off, but based on your perspective on agriculture in general, and you working with Helen's Daughters, what is your take on it?
Yes, 100%. I do believe that agriculture has money, and I feel like with the right training, with the right collaborative efforts, young persons, older persons are able to learn. Because I mean, we're in the era of knowledge and technology and information. So I mean, there's tons of information out there, tons of research that we could tap into. So most definitely, whether it be for pests, fertilizing, there are numerous ways that we could reduce our spending and maximize profits. So I 100% believe that there is money to be made in agriculture.
Okay, excellent. And I really do respect the fact that you all, as young entrepreneurs, are not just focused on the economics that will be derived from it, but you're looking at your business from a holistic approach, which is very respectable and commendable. And I really do hope, and I'm seeing that this is going to infiltrate into the markets and the wider region for a lot of other young entrepreneurs. So that is excellent. And now on to the next question. tell us about the risk in agriculture and what mechanisms have you implemented to reduce your risk? Sebastian?
Well, so global warming is without a doubt a concern,
Yes.
as well as, well, global supply chains, as well as shipping availability are all potential risks, I would say. In terms of mechanisms, we use expert advice and monitor weather patterns so as to effectively and efficiently manage these risks and minimize their potential impact. We follow global supply chains and are able to make decisions in advance to make sure we have everything in a timely manner. It's important to make these distinctions clear from, I would say, the beginning of the business, so as to have everything streamlined logistically and operationally in the future in case of, you know, any risks becoming a reality, whether it be, you know, El Nino, things like, you know, massive torrential rains or hurricane, or, you know, anything like that. It's important to take into account all of these external factors. Even something as you know, what might be presented as simple as a road being blocked, you know, those are massive considerations in terms of, you know, exporting your crop. So, you know, there are big things that have to be taken into account, and I think that as long as they're managed properly, as long as you work together with the local community and the local government, a lot of those risks can be easily mitigated.
Okay, great. And Malvin, on to you. Same question. Tell us about the risk in agriculture and what mechanisms have you implemented to reduce your risk?
Okay, for us, one of the biggest risks within the industry that we're working in is climate change, especially with the severe drought conditions that we're having currently. So, one of our mitigation methods that, you know, we've been closely working with the Ministry of Agriculture to collaborate on information sharing as well. You know,
Yes.
and we need the experts' advices. So we work closely with the guys from the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as, you know, looking at our neighboring countries. You know, looking at what I would say what mitigating methods that they, you know, could share with us, as well as capacity building. What we've been doing a lot is, you know, sending members from within the business to, you know, attend various trainings within other countries to, you know, develop capacity on how we could, you know, combat various challenges that we would, you know, see in the future.
Okay, thank you. And Karine, tell us about the risk in agriculture and what mechanisms have you implemented to reduce your risk?
Yes. So summary, like my previous colleague said, climate would be at the top of the list. But I feel like a lot of things that we could do to work around climate change would just to be implementing climate smart agriculture. For instance, if we know that there's going to be an extended dry period, we use mulch, we use drip irrigation and stuff like that. And a lot of times, sometimes lack of knowledge. If you're not too familiar with a certain crop and you planting it for the first time, you wouldn't know what exactly to do the first time around. But obviously, with the second time, you would be better aware as to what you would do the next time around. In terms of persons, well, for me, I would say back when I bottled coconut water, if I was supposed to do it large scale,
Yes.
the facilities, like the storage facilities, whether it be refrigeration, um, and especially if it got to a stage where I would need to export, I would say the facilities um, in St. Lucia that are needed to store produce for export. So I feel like that would be a risk because if it's stored for too long, not in the right conditions, the produce may spoil. And lastly, another risk would be radioactivity. Going into the field, we know that a lot of places depend on what you're doing. So some of them may be watching you more than you're watching your own crop. So going into the sector, I would be using security cameras so that I could just monitor my farm, considering that I work full time on the apprenticeship farm. So for me, I would say these are what I have seen so far.
What do you think about information sharing among different agri-entrepreneurs within the region in terms of mitigating risks, etc.? So Sebastian, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's vital. One of the first trips that I took into the farm, we went immediately to the two adjacent farms and we spoke to their farm managers and exchanged information, exchanged contacts. And we are now keeping in contact with them all the time in terms of monitoring these same, as I mentioned before, weather patterns and because we use the exact same roads, because we use, we're in the same soil, we're in the same area, we benefit from the same, government assistance, whether it be grants, whether it just be paving the road, anything like that. So we're all in it together, right? So if we want to create a successful business, which is sustainable, which helps the local economy, which invests in, local development, as well as satisfying some of these, like the 25 by 25 goals, then we have to work together in things like that rather than creating animosity and rivalry. So I think it is really important to work with other local people invested or involved in the agriculture space, whether they be farmers or not, to reach these goals that we want to reach.
Great. And Melvin, what's your thoughts on information sharing, probably locally as well as regionally with other agri-entrepreneurs?
I think personally, I think it's vital. It's key to the success of entrepreneurs and businesses within the agricultural sector, because one, we have businesses who have gone through various experiences, whether it be challenges, and for us with the information sharing, we could mitigate those factors. Us going through the repeating the same stuff over and over. So I feel it's very essential. It's key, and it doesn't matter which sector you're in within the agricultural field, but information sharing is vital.
Yes. Thank you. And Karine, what are your thoughts on that?
I quite agree with my colleague Melvin. I agree with what he says about passing on information. And most times, I honestly feel like older persons in the field do not necessarily share their knowledge. I know with climate change and everything that's happening within the sector, the knowledge doesn't always work considering that times have changed. But I
Yes.
really do feel like information sharing, like Melvin said, it's essential in all sectors rather. So yes, it's very important, and I feel like as a small region, we should do information sharing more.
Okay, thank you so much. And how important is the marketing of your product? And how do you market your product? And is the cost worth the investment, Sebastian?
Well, I would say marketing is undeniably important. However, given the current high demand in both local and regional markets, we have not yet needed to invest heavily in marketing efforts, which is, I mean, it's lucky for us, really, but it's as a result of the situation that we're in. And it's one of the reasons that we have to have this massive focus on food security within the region. Our primary focus remains on meeting this demand and ensuring product quality and ensuring sustainability, as I mentioned before. But as we continue to grow, we will strategically increase our marketing investments to expand not only our reach, but also maintain a strong market presence, making sure that our costs align with also our long-term growth objectives.
Okay, thank you so much. And Melvin, tell us about your marketing strategies and how important is the marketing of your product, and is the cost with the investment?
Excellent. That's an excellent question. Just like the colleague mentioned, we have not been focusing on marketing as much. However, it's very important. And one, we have not been focusing it due to the high demand within the region that we're from. I mean, we can't supply the demand, so we run out of products probably one month before the production cycle would come back in. We're out with products. So then that marketing aspect is not quite necessary for us. However, it's worth the investment because we've been getting requests to expand expand the product to farther regions of the country as well internationally. So then, it definitely would be essential to, do the marketing aspect.
Okay, thank you. And Karine, so you are just starting, but is Karine still with us? You're just starting, but what are your thoughts on marketing, or what are your plans for marketing your products?
Yes, for marketing, I've understood that marketing is very essential because most of our farmers, they produce hundreds of pounds of produce, and after they have no one to sell it to. So for me, I believe that social media is a very essential tool. Everyone's on their phone. So that would be the main marketing tool. And also, as my business progresses, I would be switching up how I market as compared to right now. But I just believe that everyone, all farmers, should be utilizing their phones, creating their pages, using of sponsored posts, just to get their information out there.
Yes, I agree. Use all opportunities to get the information out there. Even on platforms like this webinar, such as these, use the opportunity to get your info out there. And I do encourage all who are online with us right now, share your information, share your thoughts in the chat. We are all here to share and discuss our ideas. So, guys, this brings us to our final question before we open it up to members on the Zoom call right now to ask you questions. But why would you encourage young people to consider agriculture as a business, Sebastian?
Well, I would say that encouraging young people to consider agriculture as a business is imperative to fostering economic growth, ensuring food security, and also driving innovation. We can't have sustainability without training the next generation. So by engaging in agriculture, young entrepreneurs can contribute significantly to GDP growth, even if it's local, concentrated GDP growth, job creation, poverty alleviation, reduction, while also playing a vital role in producing food and reducing dependency on food imports, which is exactly what we want to go for, considering this CARICOM objective initiative. Moreover, this adoption of modern farming techniques and technology can boost productivity and sustainability in the sector. And obviously, young people are key to that. And investing in agriculture can stimulate, as we mentioned before, rural development, improve infrastructure, and promote environmental sustainability through the adoption of sustainable farming practices, including what I mentioned before about being the cornerstone, about being generational. There are important things to take into account. And I think overall, encouraging youth involvement in agriculture aligns with both national, for us in Guyana, but also regional development goals, benefiting both individuals and society at large.
Thank you so much. Those are some excellent points. Melvin, how can you add to this? Why would you encourage young people to consider agriculture as a business?
Yes. One, as mentioned as the colleague, I mean, he had some excellent pointers there, and to reiterate on them as well, the financial, the financial gains that one could have. However, for the development of, the rural communities, I think, talking from Belize, majority of the rural communities are farming communities. So I think, having youths venturing into agriculture will allow our, communities to prosper infrastructure-wise, technology-wise, and as well as, the conservation of old farming practices, combining with new technologies, could allow us to mitigate further challenges that one would face, later on in the future. So I think, that is key, because then, the future in agriculture are the youths, because the population is very low, so we have to, encourage youths.
Yes, I totally agree with the points that you all have raised. Just a bit, I know I don't have anyone from Trinidad and Tobago on, but you mentioned population. We have a population of 1.4 million, but our youth population is over 500,000. So just take that into perspective when you look at encouraging young people. They are the majority of our population right now.
Exactly.
Encourage them to get into
Yes.
agriculture. And Karine, why would you encourage young people to consider agriculture as a business?
Yes, for me, I would encourage persons to, well, youth at that to um, take part in agriculture or enter the agricultural sector because first off, there is money to be made. A lot of persons, especially in my age group, they don't believe that at all. And like you stated, a lot of persons are graduating from secondary school, colleges with no jobs at all. So I believe, like my colleague said previously, it would help economically. And I think that with more persons entering the agricultural sector, a lot of foods that are native to the Caribbean would not die out. Because considering that we do not have a lot of persons farming, we get a lot of shortages of certain food. So I believe that if more persons are educated and more persons are entering the field, then there would not be any shortages or any extinctions of certain foods. And just in general, reducing unemployment. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much. So it's an overall approach, not only for your own personal growth and your own personal development, but also for your local, your economic, for every, it's a holistic approach to your business. And I do appreciate that. Before I turn it over to members who may be waiting to ask you some questions, we do have joining us another panelist. He would have come on recently, Nicholas Key of Key Farms. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Anisha, and apologies for the late start from my end.
That's fine. So what I'm going to do, I will just ask you to introduce your Key Farms, give us a bit of background info into your business. I'm trying to sum up everything in one. So basically, what would have motivated you to pursue your current business? What region, what part of the region you are from? Why would you encourage young people to consider agriculture? And any additional thoughts before we pass it over to
Yeah, no problem at all. So hi everyone. I'm Nicholas Key, the co-founder and CEO of Key Farms. We started a little over 3 years ago. My background is historically not in tech. It's historically in tech, sorry. I've been doing tech for a little over 15 years before moving to the climate change space more actively. But when we started, at least some of the problems that we had identified at least during that period of time during the pandemic, was that the vulnerable groups that were living close to us, i.e., the fisher folk themselves, they were having a hard time really sustaining their livelihoods because of the massive fish kills that we had experienced over the past few months at that time, and even today, as a result of mainly the mining industry and I guess by extension the tourism industry as well. So we were looking for I guess other avenues by which fisherfolk themselves might be able to have an alternative source of livelihood, at least to buffer the revenue storm for them. And what made the most sense for us was to look deeper within the blue economy and to target something that I guess isn't necessarily mainstream for Jamaican waters, which is sea moss. But as at least probably a few people know, sea moss is inherently in basically a lot of the foods and beverages and other value-added commodities that we use today, from toothpaste to beauty products, moisturizers, face creams, body washes. It all uses the byproducts basically extracted from sea moss itself. And Jamaica didn't necessarily have an industry established. And so our aim was to not only provide an alternative source of livelihoods for them by training fisherfolk how to build out their own ocean farms and sea moss farms, but also use it as a catalyst to help boost and bolster a lot of the biodiversity within the oceanic ecosystem. And so that is how we basically have started. We've pretty much been doing R&D across the island at different fish sanctuaries, and by extension, training fisherfolk how to pretty much replicate what we've been able to do at a commercial level, so that they can then sell the sea moss back to us for us to create byproducts and build out the market in the international space, or have it for themselves and sell it laissez-faire across the market.
Okay, great. And why would you encourage young people to consider agriculture as a business?
It's why would I encourage it? It really is there's a lot of there are a lot of hidden opportunities within the space, especially if you double down on unique challenges that we would have faced, and by extension look at avenues for incorporating a lot of climate smart activities to not just increase yield and to provide and to help food security for basically everyone, but also ride the wave of the many vast advantages of getting more deeply entrenched and incorporating a lot of climate smart strategies to basically not just make money, but to really help the environment at the same time.
Okay, Nicholas, thank you so much. It's a pity that you weren't here to join us earlier, but I'm sure we'll catch you another time to have a more in-depth
worries.
discussion with you. However, we're giving everyone an opportunity now to ask any questions that they may have for these 5 panelists that are with us today. I would encourage anyone who's coming on, if you can turn on your camera, introduce yourself, what organization you may belong to, and you'll feel free to ask any questions. Or you can also ask a question in the chat if you are comfortable.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Zachary Moore.
Hi.
And I just wanted to, first introduction, I'm from Barbados. Nice to meet you. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
And
Zachary.
I am representing Boems Group, which is my business. We're a small agricultural investment company, social enterprise as well too within Barbados. And I also represent Future Farmers Think Tank, which is a youth-led agricultural organization within Barbados. Our secretariat is ICA. And yes, please, my question would be the 25% by 2025. And I believe this is part of that. This is a webinar, based on that initiative that CARICOM. I was just wondering, where are we within the Caribbean in terms of that initiative? If you have information in terms of from island to island, what percentage have they reached so far? Because we know we are going into the second half of the year, the financial year, and soon 2025. So where are we, and what position, or what position does youth have in this initiative?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Zachary. I believe I can turn that over to members of the CARICOM Secretariat who are also on with us. They do have that information. If not, Zachary, we will be willing to share that information with you, probably via email. I'm sure you would have registered or been part of an organization who would have shared this link with you. So CARICOM Secretariat, you all are in a position to answer that question offhand, or can we share it with him a bit
Thank
later?
you. Thank you very much, Milagro Matos here from the CARICOM Secretariat. Mr. Zachary, we have our agribusiness.com website that would be able to give you an overview of exactly the strategy, details of the strategy, and some of the accomplishments to date. We are well in target. And perhaps you could share your details, Mr. Zachary, so that we can give you much more information. And we will also share the link with all those who are participating today so that they are also aware of the information that is available. As it relates to youth and how the youth are involved in the 25 by 2025 initiative, we have a youth advisory body that has been established. It is made up of members from throughout the member states. They have started the work towards developing a draft regional strategy. And yeah, basically that's where we are right about now. But rest assured, Mr. Zachary, the young people of the region are well involved.
Thank you so much, Milagro. And yeah, Zachary, as you can see from this panel, and in the future, a lot more of the members of the advisory body, the youth are very much involved. So thank you for that question. Any more questions from our participants? Come on, don't be shy. We have some very engaging youth entrepreneurs here with us, and they are willing and they are ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Chanel Humes. I'm the chairperson for the CARICOM's Youth Advisory Body. And I have a question for Miss Corinne. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. But my question to you is, I've been listening to you talking, but I wanted to know, as a female entrepreneur, what are some of the challenges that you have faced in your particular business in the agricultural sector, and how have you championed those hurdles? And are you getting any help from anyone? And and how do you encourage other young female entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs to take on such hurdles in their way as well? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. That's actually a really good question. Um, well, for me, considering that I'm just starting off, I do get a lot of assistance from Helen's Daughters. They do play a tremendous role in providing inputs or just in a matter of training or whatever assistance that I may need. And in terms of women in agriculture, whoever is interested, whichever young female is interested, I would like to work with them just to know that we have a support system like Helen's Daughters, who is actually willing, who has created a community for persons like myself so that we could share ideas, we could share opportunities, we could get the assistance from like-minded women like us. So there are opportunities for women like myself and assistance as well for them, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yes, thank you, Karine and Anisha. If I may, one more question for Nicholas, I think. What has been the reception from the fisher folk that you've been working with? Are they receptive to the information that you're disseminating to them? Are they practicing it? And because a lot of these fisher folks, you find that they're older. And when it comes to older persons, they're not too keen on changing the ways they've been doing things over the years. So what has been that reception for you?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's been mixed, admittedly. For the most part, I haven't really had too many issues. In terms of community approach, what has tend to happen is that we would probably have sensitization sessions first within the entire training. So sensitization sessions in the form of workshops to just help them identify with the possibilities of getting into this space. And for those who are at least seem to be more passionate surrounding the ideas of getting in the space, we basically liaise with them further in establishing them as informal ambassadors, and they help to really galvanize the rest of the community along the way. So it's really a stepped approach, and the community aspect or community building itself, there's no linear pathway towards it at all. Sometimes it will look like going down to the fishing villages themselves and just quite literally probably building out infrastructure in front of them and just showing them. Or it might take some more convincing, and so you'd have to go back and forth and just like buy rum and drink rum with them and just have a reasoning to understand where they're coming from, so that you can be trusted to then bring more ideas to the table. But so far it's been slow but intentional, and there hasn't been too much I guess hiccups. Aside from the only hiccup has been just the lack of structure. It's hard to scale it, at least right now at this level, given the amount of community work and effort that needs to be put in place. But the pathway towards that is setting up things like a cooperative and having leaders, having them lead their own pathway towards getting into this space as well. So that's what we're working on as well.
Okay, Shanil, thank you very much. And I see before we close, I see there's a question from Selena Green on the chat. She asks, will genetically modified crops be encouraged in the Caribbean region, as this is a concern for many because of the health dangers? So anyone feel free to take that question.
Sure. So I think the use of genetically modified crops in the Caribbean is a topic that requires, I'd say, careful consideration of both potential benefits as well as other concerns. While GMO crops can offer advantages such as increased yields, resistance to pests, so as a result, a decrease in the amount of pesticide required, it's crucial to prioritize health and safety. So we particularly, but we've seen that other our farmers, other agriculture businesses in Guyana are similar. So we're committed to, excuse me, following rigorous, scientific research, regulatory guidelines to ensure specifically that any decision regarding GMO crops is made with care for public health as well as environmental and economic sustainability. So I think, as I mentioned before, engaging with local communities, engaging with researchers, scientists, as well as having that dialogue with policymakers, I think will be key in making informed decisions that will balance, in this case, innovation with local and regional safety.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Sebastian. So it is now 1:32. We have come to the end of Food for Lunch Conversations on 25% by 2025. As I said, feel free as well. We will look out for some more information and more webinars like these. These are truly engaging. And I thank you so much, Sebastian Otway, Karina Antoine, Melvin Requena, and Nicholas Key for joining us and having such a dynamic and engaging discussion. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I do wish you all a great and safe weekend. And we look forward to some more conversations like these.
On behalf of the CARICOM Secretariat moderator, thank you very much for the time taken to moderate this session. Panelists, the same. Other participants, please note that every 3 months we hold the Food for Lunch seminar, and that for the remainder of the year, the seminar will be focusing on youth and youth engagement. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Everyone.